Last night, Mackenzie Gore did get rocked around, and of course, it reminded me of this. Davey, please go to a six-man rotation yesterday.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And of course, I'm your host, Ryan Clary. You can catch me over on Twitter at RyanClary11 and as well as our show page at LO_Nationals for all your latest Nationals news and notes. Make sure to check us out over on Twitter. And while you're at it, search up Locked On Nationals wherever you get your podcasts, including over on YouTube. Again, just search Locked On Nationals and hit that subscriber button. Later on in today's show, we'll have a Nats Braves preview tonight, as you have got the struggling Jake Irvin going up against left-handed pitcher Max Fried, both very familiar with each of these teams. So we'll have that preview for you a little bit later on. Second segment of today's show, Jarlin Susana. Andrew Golden of the Washington Post wrote a really nice piece about him and kind of how he's found his confidence here with the Washington Nationals, and he is pitching like it, of course. So we'll discuss that a little bit later on. And also going to get into Travis Sakura as well, who continues to dominate for the Fred Nats. And should they be untouchable in any trade talks this offseason? We'll have that conversation for you in the second segment. But we're going to start off right here, right now, while I plead to Davey Martinez. Please, for the love of God, go to a six-man rotation. I'll explain that, but today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Davey, anybody within the Nationals organization, anybody who is out there, please go to a six-man rotation. Not today, not tomorrow, but yesterday. Last night was a big reminder as to why I want to see a six-man rotation. Mackenzie Gore has been struggling immensely in the second half. His ERA is now up to a 4.34 on the season. He gave up 7 runs. Now only 2 of them were earned, but we all know Mackenzie Gore did not have his ace stuff yesterday. He walked 3 guys, struck out 3, gave up that big home run, and really just did not look like himself, and he hasn't looked like himself for quite some time. But even then, we've all talked about this. I talked about this on yesterday's show. This is about the young guys for this September. This is about giving guys opportunities. This is about establishing guys on this roster to be everyday Washington Nationals. Mackenzie Gore is an everyday Washington National. He's established himself as that. But more so, why I want to see a six-man rotation is for the protection of these young guys. Listen, when you have a young starting staff the way that the Nationals do right now, some of these guys are reaching their innings limit, quote unquote. Some of these guys are getting up to their career high as far as innings pitched. They are tired. They are not used to pitching this amount of innings in a single season. And the proof is right here in the pudding. Luckily, we have stats out there that can indicate this. Mackenzie Gore was shut down by the Nats in 2022. Last year, he pitched an entire full season, but still, he's got an injury history. And that was elbow inflammation, by the way. Mackenzie Gore does have some issues, and we all know about his blisters, but even then, that's a small little issue there. But he has been shut down within the last 2 seasons for elbow inflammation. That right there kind of gives you something where you don't want to have that issue reoccurring. Jake Irvin, who's going to be starting tonight, did not pitch in 2020 from the COVID season. Missed entire way of 2021 because of Tommy John surgery. And he is also getting up to his innings limit as well for the most innings that he has pitched in his entire career. Mitchell Parker He's already at his career high innings pitched with 140 innings pitched and 4 innings down in AAA. His career high was last year with 124 innings pitched. Again, that was last season in AA and AAA. DJ Hers, already at his career high with 75 and a third innings pitched in the majors, 39 and a third innings pitched in AAA. That's 114 and 2/3 innings pitched in total this season. And Patrick Corbin is Patrick Corbin. You're not really worried about that at this point in time. He does not have an injury history, and he's going to go out there every 5 to 6 days, and he's going to do what Patrick Corbin does. But you have 4 younger guys on this rotation, guys that are not adjusted to pitching every 5 days, guys that don't go out there and go 5-6 innings every 5 days. At some point in time, when you are a younger team, A, and B, when you are a team that is not contending, which is what we are right now, you have to protect these guys. And in some cases, other organizations, you can always find options for guys to come up into the bigs. But luckily for the Nationals, they do have options. You've got multiple, in fact. If you wanted to play it safe, call up Jackson Rutledge for all I care. Have him come up, pitch 3-4 innings, and do what he does. I know he's got a 7 ERA down in AAA, but it's not about seeing this guy. It is about protecting that you guys have right now here at the Washington Nationals. You need to protect Gore, Parker, Hers, Irvin. At some point, I was expecting this 6-man rotation to come maybe even midway through August. That's truly what I expected. But it hasn't happened, and it's September 11th today. I don't know what to expect with this. I don't know what the Nationals are doing at this point in time. But one thing is, here I will admit this, it is expected that Trevor Williams will be joining the Nationals at some point next week after he makes a second rehab start this Sunday. So yeah, we're going to be going back to a 6-man rotation. But even sitting here today, Brad Lord, why isn't he up in the majors, stretching these guys out, and also getting a look at him going into next season, going up against Major League talent? Why not? Tyler Stewart. It would be a little bit premature, but still, if you don't want to see Brad Lord yet, Tyler Stewart has put up insane numbers within the Nationals, even outside of his last few starts here with Rochester. He's kind of gotten rocked around, but you get the point. It's not about seeing these guys up in the majors, even though I guess it is a little bit, but it's more importantly about protecting the guys that you have up in the majors sitting here today. Seeing Mackenzie Gore last night and seeing him over the last few starts and seeing Jake Irvin in particular, his last 7 starts, seeing Mitchell Parker, DJ Hers, all these younger guys, they're getting tired. They are getting gassed. Having another day of rest may not mean the world to these guys, but still, it's an extra day of rest. It is an extra day for them to recover, to stretch out their arm, throw an extra bullpen, get ready for your next start. If I'm the Washington Nationals, and if I'm Davey Martinez, I'm doing this today. Getting a 6-man rotation, again, it's not just about seeing that 6th guy and what he's going to do for the starting rotation moving forward. It is about protecting the guys that you have right now. That's solely what it is about. And that's what it should be about, by the way. It's not going to help make the world of differences out there, but there are a lot of positives. And number one, most importantly, it could prevent some serious injuries. And that is the baseline of what I'm trying to get to here. You do not want to have this last stretch of September fall off and have Jake Irvin or Mackenzie Gore, Mitchell Parker, or DJ Hers get hurt right before going into next season, because the main goal right now is get everyone healthy going into the offseason, having a full offseason of recovery and training, and attacking next season in hopes to make a postseason pursuit at this time next year. And getting that 6-man rotation, in my opinion, would help in a huge way in helping them pursue that for this offseason. So thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. I thought about that last night when I was watching the game. It was just kind of like, why haven't we gone to a 6-man rotation? You might be thinking, you kind of came off the top rope there. I know, but still, it's frustrating. I'm frustrated with that. I want to see a 6-man rotation moving forward here for the Nationals, just for the last few weeks. Just get it done. That's it. That's all I ask for. Simple ask. So now let's get into Jarlin Susana and, of course, Travis Sakura as well. But before we do that, I'm going to tell you guys about our very good friends over at Gametime. And, of course, Gametime has a new feature called Gametime Picks that make getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. And you all know the drill. When I go up to Nationals Park, just like I will tonight against the Braves, I'm going to be walking up Half Street there, walking up center field gate. I'll open up Gametime. I'll be able to get the views from my seats. And of course, you can even open up Gametime and get their flash zone deals. And you can filter out the fluff so you can only get incredible deals on great seats. So you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And of course, the super deal, you can check out the super deal over on Gametime, and the lowest price is always guaranteed for them. So I want you guys to get in on the action just like I do and take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime. So we get into it with Jarlin Susana, one of the Nationals' top pitching prospects. Andrew Golden of the Washington Post recently wrote a piece about him, made a trip up to Wilmington, Delaware, and got to see the big hurler who throws 100, 102 miles per hour. And Jarlin Susana is just a beast of a pitcher. But I want to get into this because I think Jarlin Susana's dominance is really slept on, not only within this organization, but really from a national perspective as well. Paul Skeens, you know the name. Jarlin Susana basically throws as hard as Paul Skeens at this point in time. Now, he's not flashing the radar gun as often as Paul Skeens was. Paul Skeens is different in that aspect as far as starting pitchers go. But one thing that Paul Skeens was, he was also in his lower 20s. Jarlin Susana has just turned 20 years old. This kid is young. He is big, and he is huge. One thing that stuck out to me when I first saw him, and you know, this may be stupid, you may dismiss this, but whatever, this is my takeaway. When I was in Fredericksburg and I saw Jarlin Susana in person for the first time last season, he just felt kind of unconfident. You saw him go out there. He got rocked around, gave up like 4 runs in 3 innings. He was flashing his stuff. The slider was plus. The fastball was hitting 101, 102 pretty often. But he did not seem that confident. And so, Andrew Golden pointed out in this piece, Eddie Longos, who oversees scouting operations here in DC, who oversees player development, kind of had a talk with him. And really, even more than that, minor league coaches, a single-A Fredericksburg Nats pitching coach who was very tight with Jarlin Susana, they all kind of had a talk with him and said, it's all right there in front of you. So Jarlin Susana, this season, he started off really poorly, and everyone was getting concerned, including myself, saying, I think this guy might just be a really good closer, and that's okay. But now the chances are, at this point at least, from what he has shown, is that he could be a really good starting pitcher. And that is going to be special for the Washington Nationals. The confidence has completely flipped with Jarlin Susana, and it's because of his preparation. Andrew Golden pointed this out as he was talking with all the different coaching staffs with Fredericksburg, is that Jarlin Susana's preparation now is night and day, compared to what he was once doing earlier on this season. He is throwing bullpens more often, taking it more serious. doing the things that big leaguers do. And that is a very important sign for young prospects. Number one, it's going to help your baseball skills. It's going to help you at the end of the day if you put in the work for it. Susana has obviously put in the work, but still, I think at this point in time, earlier on this season, there were probably some questions of that. He has since worked in his preparation, and now this guy is, in my opinion, still slept on in a national perspective, but he's at least being talked about a little bit more. And I can't say this enough, but he is only 20 years old. We see this time and time again with younger guys coming up into the pros. They don't know how to prepare. They don't know how to go out there once a week and pitch 4 to 5 innings every single night. You just don't. You don't know what to do in those rest days. Jarlin Susana grew up being the best player in Little League, in Babe Ruth, in high school, in the prep level, whatever it is. Jarlin Susana was the best player there, and all of the guys were there as well. Didn't necessarily have to prepare all that much when you have the talent to be a major leaguer. So once you make the step to the minors, especially at that young age, when Susana was pitching against pretty damn good talent at the age of 18 years old 2 seasons ago, it is a tough jump to make. So now you see Susana dominating in high A, dominating. And that makes us kind of feel pretty damn good because the Nationals have 2 guys right now who are young in low A ball with Travis Sakura, and then you have high A with Jarlin Susana. You've got 2 good, really good pitchers at this point in time who seem to have a ton of promise. And as we talked about on Friday's show, I feel like the Nationals are set up to make a relatively big trade this offseason. I think that is more likely than them making a big signing in free agency. So it brings up the question, should those 2 guys be off the trade market? Should you take their names out of any trade scenario at this point in time? Absolutely. You should not trade Travis Sakura or Jarlin Susana at this point in time. But I will say, if you were to trade one of them to make a big move, whatever it is, I'd be more likely to trade Susana than Sakura at this point in time. I think Sakura has the potential to be a top 10 prospect in baseball and be the best pitching prospect in baseball one of these days. That's how good I think he is. And I think the Nationals think he's that good as well. They should not just be out of trade considerations entirely, though. But it's going to take a hell of a lot to get rid of either of them, even if it's just one of them. And if you try to give up both of them in a trade, you better be getting a Cy Young winner in return. I can tell you that much right now. But the Nationals, they are set up for success as far as pitching goes. And again, this is something that we haven't seen here since the early 2010s, late 2000s with the Nationals as far as pitching goes. They have not been able to develop guys like this, and really guys that we have seen with a ton of talent like Andrew Lara, who's had a very good season, by the way, had a very good second half last year as well. You see these big-time pitching prospects come through the organization, and they never seem to develop. Well, under Eddie Longos, the new player development guy here in town, who's also from here, by the way, he has been very good as far as pitching goes, as you've seen DJ Hurst come up, make his debut, and look really good. Mitchell Parker has come up with pretty low expectations. He's looked really good. Jake Irvin, not really under Eddie Longos, but still, he's looked really good as well. You got to feel good about the direction of this organization as far as pitching goes. So going forward, keep your eye out again on Jarlin Susana. And more importantly, keep your eye out for Travis Sakura, because these guys, they are making a difference down in the minors. So thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day. So we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. Check us out over on YouTube. Just search Locked On Nationals. That is where you'll find us every single day, and hit that subscriber button, please. Next, let's preview the Braves-Nats game tonight as the Nationals dropped an ugly one, 12-0 against the Braves yesterday. You saw Ildemaro Vargas pitch. Maybe the bats wake up. Maybe the pitching is better with Jake Irvin. But you got a tough one tonight going up against Max Fried. And we all know Dylan Cruz does not hit lefties all too well. So we'll discuss that after we tell you guys about our friends over at PrizePicks. And PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest, most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. If you want to play PrizePicks along Drewski, Joe Budden, and MMA champ Sugar Sean O'Malley, you can now find community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the PrizePicks community each and every week. PrizePicks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. So, of course, all you have to do is download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. Thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. Tonight, you've got Max Fried against Jake Irvin. And of course, both these guys are very familiar with the other teams here in town. But I will say, after last night's game, don't you feel a little beaten up? Don't you? I felt beaten up after yesterday's game. Watching Ronaldo Lopez shove it against the Nats, Mackenzie Gore didn't look all too great, but still, that is where we sit here today. So Luis Garcia Jr., you've got other guys like Keibert Ruiz. They faced Max Fried a decent amount compared to others. 15 at-bats for Luis Garcia Jr. against Fried. He's got a 534 OPS. Keibert Ruiz is batting .091 with a 273 OPS and 11 at-bats against Max Fried. Other than that, you've got Jacob Young, who's 0 for 4 against him. Juan Yepez, who's 0 for 3 against him. Ildemaro Vargas, who is 0 for 6 against him. And CJ Abrams is batting .286 with a 715 OPS, which is right around his career average at this point in time. On the other hand, with Jake Irvin, Orlando Arcia has taken advantage of him quite often. A 1232 OPS and 7 at-bats. I also look at other guys like Matt Olson, who has struggled immensely against him in only 8 at-bats. But tonight, this is one of those games where the Nats have nothing to lose. And the Braves, they've got everything to win because they are in a postseason race with the New York Mets, a division rival. Not many people were expecting the Mets to be here at this point in time, but man, oh man, has it been interesting for the Mets right now. So we'll see what the Braves can do. We'll see what the Nationals can do in particular. But my money at this point is not on the Nationals. I will admit that fact here. So thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we're free and available wherever you get your podcast. Please check us out over on YouTube. Just search Locked On Nationals. You can get Locked On Nationals wherever you get your podcast. I will catch you guys on the flip side. Have a good one. Go Nats.